Governor Okpebholo, who recently...
That
matter of governor.
Lord. Before you go on, Charles, you know when they say that Edo people, that Edo know the
that is your state, of
course.
That's
my state. That's what makes it so heartbreaking. Oh Lord have mercy. You know when they say Edo know they carry last, we have actually carried last, and we have stained our white with our own hands.
Yeah.
And for me, it's such a sad thing as someone who is an indigene of Edo State to say that that is a person representing the state. It's so sad.
Aisha Yesufu, in her recent interview with Charles Aniagolo of Arise News, clearly stated her reasons for following Senator Natasha Akpabio to the Senate to resume her duties as the democratically elected senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District. She made it clear that their going to the National Assembly was never for protest, rather to expose the cartel gang going on in the National Assembly and brazenly spearheaded by Godswill Akpabio, who is currently the Senate President of the 10th National Assembly. In this interview, she boldly insinuated that Nigeria is already a captured state, but that we the citizens should rise up and take back every system as they rightly belong to us and not to a selected few. On the same note, based on the trended issues between P2B and the governor of Edo State, Monday Okpebholo, she strongly condemned the governor for asserting that P2B's security will not be guaranteed if he entered Edo State without permission. You know, many of us don't even know that Aisha Yesufu is from Edo State, but hearing her calling Governor Okpebholo her governor and also saying that Senator Adams Oshomole is from the same local government with her, that indeed is another awareness that many people don't even know. She also challenged the governor's claims to control access to the state, declaring that Edo State is not his private domain and that no Nigerian needs his clearance before entering the state. Anyways, let me not bore you so much with my monologue. Let's have a listen to the full interview of Aisha Yesufu on Arise News with Charles Aniagolo. But please, before that, kindly like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, share and put on your notification bell to always be among the first to get notified whenever we drop new updates on what is happening in our country and beyond. Please do not forget to leave your own thoughts on this matter in the comment section below. See my next video. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back to Arise Primetime, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Aniagolo. Now, we hear so much about the great men of Nigerian politics whose action is supposed to have transformed Nigerian lives for the better, but who for decades have provided the gravity that's kept most people bound and spinning in the dark scaffolding of their uninspirational leadership. But one woman who has helped to raise awareness about their lackluster performance through her political activism is Aisha Yesufu. Like her or hate her, no one can deny that she's become one of the most effective pro-democracy and good governance voices, who is not afraid to challenge authority, from good governance protests to the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, from the End SARS demonstrations to the cost of living protests, and now to Senator Natasha Akpabio versus the Senate and Monday Okpebholo versus P2B. She has transformed how so many young people understand their place in political society, frustrated beyond words as they are by the lack of proper democratic institutions and lack of inspirational leadership. So, can she now detect some hope for the future, or is the future still looking rather bleak? Well, for more on this, the activist and campaigner Aisha Yesufu joins me now in the studio. How nice to see you again.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
Yes,
and you know, as we were ending, it just reminded me of 2022. I remember having that conversation with you and where people were saying there was no hope. And at the beginning of the obedient movement, you know, four people in a room, and I did say to Nigerians, watch us and see what would happen. I think a lot.
It was almost proverbial, wasn't it? I mean, the way that you predicted what was going to happen.
Yes.
The last time I saw you, of course, was on television. We just saw images of that, but you were live. And your fist once again clenched. We thought you had kind of left the streets for the ballot box, but clearly Nigeria still pushing you back onto the streets.
So on the issue of the streets, really, for me, one of the reasons why I did say I'm not going to be on the street, like if you notice that protest wasn't a protest to a government. what I say that if I don't believe the current government won the election, and for me, if I go to protest to them, then that means I'm legitimizing illegitimacy, and that's my own opinion. And so I did say I'm not going to be on any of such protests. But on the issue of Senator Natasha Akpabio, it was a protest to the National Assembly, where she, not really a protest, she was going there to resume office, since the court had declared that her suspension was unconstitutional. And so the next thing would be for her to go in and resume, and then we escorted her. I was one of those who went with her, because one of the things for me is that she's not going to walk alone, by the grace of God, if I'm alive and I'm breathing,
right,
and definitely be there to support her, because what you see is just what we call injustice of the highest order. We first of all have a situation whereby we don't have a lot of women at the National Assembly, and then the few we have, we're seeing this high level kind of oppression going on. So for me, it's not even just because she's female, but that the injustice should not be sustained in her, like she said in her own words.
I'm going to return to Natasha Akpabio in a minute. But I was just looking at the faces of some of those security guards when you guys walked up to them, and you're sort of looking them in the eye. They didn't quite know what to do.
Yeah.
And one of your critics who was watching that jokingly wondered why you just couldn't have become something nice, like a kindergarten teacher rather than a political activist.
Well, at the end of the day, it's still teaching, because there are a lot of people who see the fact that one can stand up and have a voice and speak, and that as citizens that we're deserving of a good standard of living, we're deserving of good governance, and then we're also supposed to participate in governance, and that's exactly what we're doing. In terms of those police, for me, it was just so ironic, for every time we're trying to protest, for good governance in Nigeria, something that's going to favor everyone. The police are always there as willing tool of oppression, to suppress the people, oppress the people, beat up the people, tear gas, do all sorts of things. And the most ironic part of it was the fact that I think less than 24 hours, to that time that we were there were actually citizens who were on the street protesting for police, men and women. And so I was like, what's this thing that is wrong with you? And most times when they see us, they are always complaining that we never protest, on their behalf. And I'm like, for every time we even try to protest on your behalf, you're always coming, to beat us up or do one thing
that's
or
a good point.
So that's it for me. And I kept just telling them, see, what are you getting out of this Nigeria? Like for some of them, look them in the eyes to say to them, the kind of education that your children are getting, is it the kind of education that the children of the Senate President, for example, is getting? If Nigeria was a country where it's working, access to good quality education should not be dependent on the economic status of one's family. So I'm reminding them, your kids are not getting this. So when you go back home and they're saying that Nigeria isn't working, just remember to let your family know that you're one of those who is not making Nigeria work. So basically, those were just the things that was said to them that day.
But I mean, you must not have been surprised that you were stopped at the gates of the National Assembly by security agents. Knowing this, why was it still important for you to go there?
Well, it was important for her to resume office. One of the things that would happen most times, they would say to her, but you didn't try, you didn't go there. If you hadn't gone there, that they would say, who stopped you? Who didn't allow you, to come in there? She needed to resume because her people have been without representation for over a year, and time and time again, the courts have declared that, the legislative and the bodies, be it National Assembly or State Houses of Assembly, they do not have this right to suspend people for this long or to do this suspension, being that the authority to be a senator wasn't something that was given to her by the Senate or imposed on her by the Senate. It was her people that deemed it fit to vote for her. And she's supposed to represent them. And now, with over 100 days, these people have lacked representation. And so there's everything wrong in that. This is not about the person, but this is about the people being represented.
Did you go out there to protest, I mean, in spite of the things you said, because she's a woman? Or would you have done that if it was a man who was stopped by the Senate from sort of going back into
absolutely. It doesn't have to do with gender, but it's just that it's an additional thing.
Right.
When you look at the scale, how do I put it now? The number of people women who are there, and then you find that you're being oppressed. Right. And this is something that happens across board all over. But definitely when it comes to voices, for me, one thing is that I don't even need to like you to stand for you when your rights are being oppressed. I've always believed in that. There are certain issues that I, for example, might not agree with it. It might not be what I would do. It might not be what, either my faith or whatever agrees with it. But when that person's rights are trampled upon, I find it's beholden on me to actually speak up for that person, not just because of when we agree or when.
No, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But I mean, you do see it as a moral crisis for the Senate, and a crisis about the place of women in Nigerian society that challenges the national conscience. And as someone said, has sometimes exceeded every acceptable standard, both legal and moral.
So if you look at it this way, when we're talking about the main issue at ground, when we're talking about sexual harassment, this is something that women have to deal with on a regular basis all the time. And most times when victims speak out, they're oppressed, they're silenced. And perpetrators, go on the basis that they will be silenced from their victims. And then you now have someone at this level who is speaking out and who is also being silenced and sort of like being punished because she spoke out. It says a lot. It's a whole lot involved in
she's being punished
beyond this.
Because she's not showing substantial contrition. Because, I mean, that's one of the things that...
It's one of those things, Charles. Repeatedly you see people who are saying to you, oh, go and beg. We do that a lot in Nigeria, where the victim is the one who is vilified.
That is very true.
The perpetrator is let alone. And
that is
what
true.
Is it? Just go and apologize. No, you don't just go and apologize. You have to fight. And for me, constantly when I see Natasha, because she's always like saying to me, oh, thank you for being. I'm like, no, we are the ones to thank you, because this fight, you're not just fighting for yourself. You're fighting for every woman out there who is being oppressed, who is being suppressed, who is going through this.
Indeed. Yeah. But I mean, do you see... Is there any blame at all that you would lay on the doorstep of Senator Oduagan at all in this whole crisis? Maybe, I don't know, I mean, her attitude, the fact that there were certain things within the Senate and the Senate rules. I mean, I'm not talking about the issue of sexual harassment or the issue of whatever else there is, just purely the way that she was in that National Assembly. I mean, she's not the first person who's been who they've attempted to discipline there.
So this is the thing. I look at this, when we talk about the Senate rules, why do the Senate rules keep changing for different people and then also for different gender? I would say in the way that Senator Natasha stood up for her right and said, look, I needed to speak out on this thing. I've been moved from my seat. I don't think I should be moved without properly being informed of this whole thing. We've had other senators, and I think if I'm not mistaken, the current Senate president himself has found himself in that same situation where he had stood up, where he had yelled, where he had done, all sorts of things. We've had senators who have thrown, tantrum on the floor of the Senate, but nothing really was done to them. But then when it comes to the woman, you want to put her in she shouldn't have done this. And what did she do? She only spoke up. She stood. She didn't hit anybody. She didn't fight anybody. She was just saying, and she was quoting, she was also calling the Senate rules as she was speaking that, look, I have a right to speak in this manner and at this place. So whatever technicalities they are bringing in, and what are the Senate rules that have to do with certain people, but certain people can get away with it. And so really, for me, that's something that it's questionable to an extent. And it says, where is the justice in here?
Yeah, I think a lot of people see it that way as well. But, I mean, beyond those incidents, I mean, when it comes to the interpretation of that court ruling on the strength of which she returned to resume at the National Assembly. I mean, how do you see the role of the judiciary?
Charles, me, I always say it as it is. Man, our Nigerian judiciary, they should wake up. They failed the system, they failed the country, they failed even the oath that they swore. We today, the Nigerian judiciary that is supposed to be the last resort of the common man is now the plaything of corrupt politicians, and they are so brazen in the way that they show that off. And they don't care. They don't follow the rules. The same Senate that we see today, there were some also injunctions that were given to them to stop that proceedings in terms of suspending her. They didn't listen. They didn't bother. And we've had a situation whereby a lot of even institutions decide what rulings of the judiciary, of the courts that they're going to obey. And that's a problem. And beyond that also, you also find where the judiciary is sort of like looking at the body language of those who come before them. We've seen a situation where, politicians are the ones who are dictating a lot of things for our judiciary. It's a major problem. And I think the judiciary in itself should sit up and on its own begin to, reorganize itself in a way that it's more effective for the people, and that the common man will have a place of solace and be there, not what we currently have right now, where the politicians, that's why they would look in your face and tell you to go to court, because they know they own the courts.
Well, let's turn to the other matter, that matter of Governor Okpebholo, who recently...
That
matter of Governor.
Before you go on, Charles, when they say that Edo people, that Edo know the
that is your state, of
course.
That's
my state. That's what makes it so heartbreaking. Lord have mercy. When they say Edo know they carry last, we have actually carried last, and we have stained our white with our own hands.
Yeah.
And for me, it's such a sad thing as someone who is an indigene of Edo State to say that is a person representing the state. It's so sad.
Right. So what do you think is the motivation and the genesis of that statement that Governor Okpebholo made? You don't think it had anything to do with just
hooliganism?
Right.
Yeah, that's it. And a situation whereby I think he took on something that was beyond his intellectual capacity, and it's for him. He wants to appear that he can do certain job for certain people, sort of, and then what does he do? He goes about threatening someone, threatening Mr. Peter Obi in terms of coming into the country, into the state, and also saying that he needed to get permit. I think whether he needs to sit down with his Attorney General to really find out what are the powers that he has as a governor, because when it comes to security, he can't even command a constable. He can't give anybody a security permit. It's even his own security.
Well,
is it secured? So those are the things. So you can't say people will come here. But something, Charles. For me, it's not even. Governor Monday Okpebholo's statement to an extent is not as heartbreaking as watching Senator Adams Oshomale, former governor of there, and also we're from the same local government, but we speak the same language, and I'm like, Irama. Oh, Lord have mercy. Sitting down and trying to defend something that is indefensible. Because I look at Senator Adams Oshomale at this stage, should see himself as elder statesman and not someone, not some cleanup guy. When there are some people like when something has been done that it's wrong, they send them to sort of like fix it, Mr. Fix It. He should go beyond all of that. He should be able to have the kind of capacity and integrity to call a spade and not a garden implement. In terms of if something has been done wrong, just call the person and say, okay, you didn't do this very well. And even if you're not going to come out to publicly scold that person, which is understandable, you will call him aside and scold him. But don't come and start trying to defend that person. And in the course of defending that person, you end up dropping, having a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and all of that, going on. So for me, it's so disappointing. Right, but it's really so disappointing.
Nevertheless, a lot of people, because we get a lot of instant reaction to people we have on air, and he was obviously sitting where you're sitting now, just a few days ago. Many people seem to think that he explained it very well, and that the problem was essentially Governor Okpebholo's apparent inability to articulate his thoughts rather than any precise malintentions, which is the kind of the point that
that wasn't it. So the first thing that happened, so by the way, as we're still sitting, APC as a party, or APC in quotes as a ruling party, hasn't said anything to him to say, okay, what you've done isn't right. So let me take you through the event. First of all, Monday, unprovoked. When they're playing tennis, they say unforced error. Just where he's speaking, I think he's carried away by the crowd, and he goes this threatening. Don't come here. This person that said he doesn't have shishi, went to his school. And there are so many information where the misinformation, the fake news that 3 people had died, that there was some 3 people had died after he left or during when he was there. That was done. He did that. He threatened because that was a threat. After he finished his threat, We saw the APC chairman, Edo State APC chairman, would also come out to talk about
that was
how
particularly odious.
Yes, exactly. How they were going to smoke people. How anybody who stands in their way, they're going to smoke them. And then also going further ahead to say, okay, how he hates Mr. Peter. Well, that's his personal opinion. And also going ahead to say that everybody who is ADC, if you're ADC, you must leave the state. These are things. Where's the Nigerian police? Nigerian police should be picking up such a person who is threatening, other people. That hasn't been done. But after that, there is a statement that came from the government. And in this statement, where Governor Monday Okpebholo said he did not, according to him, he did not threaten, Mr. Peter Obi. And that is where he was talking about the fact that he needed, when he comes in, he has to be informed, and he also have to take, permission from him. Let me digress a little bit. Not too long ago, we saw a scene that happened at the Lagos State, at the Lagos airport. I think that's Murtala Mohammed Airport, if I'm not mistaken. Nnamdi Azikiwe is Abuja, right? I always miss them. Yeah, at the Murtala Mohammed Airport, where Governor Adams Oshomole, Senator Adams Oshomole, was involved in some fracas that happened, airline and whatever.
Yeah.
At that moment where he caused all of that, I would like to find out, did he take permission from the or did he take permission, or did he inform the Lagos State governor that he was coming, he was going to be there, or whatever? That's by the way.
He didn't say that Lagos was different. He put
how
a
was it different?
How
was it different? Permission is permission. If you are not saying that somebody is above the constitution, where we have right of movement, we no longer have it, then let's have that. So you saw that where the APC government, Edo APC chairman had spoken, then a statement reiterating that particular. So even if he made mistake, there is now something in black and white. And then we now had, I think, is the Commissioner of Information, if I'm not mistaken, on air, who had also claimed, and then he said that, when Peter Obi came, when they were sharing the money, it's after he left, and then there was stampede, and 3 people died. Who are these 3 people that died? I would love to know who are these 3 people that died. Have Governor Monday Okpebholo gone to see these 3 people that have died? What has he done, put in place to ensure that nobody dies again? Because Edo lives do matter, even though they don't matter to him. We're being killed every day in Edo. I'm from Edo North, and he hasn't done anything about it. So what has he done, to prevent this? And then where the commissioner would say that they gave cash, they think, so when you're projecting what you do on other people, Mr. Peter Obi doesn't go around giving cash. He gives check. So there was no sharing of money. It's not the usual kind of thing that they do in their place that was done. It's check given to the school authority. And by the way, there was a statement that, Governor Adams Oshomole, now Senator Adams Oshomole, had made, where he said that the school is a government school. I think that is not factual. If I'm not mistaken, it's a Catholic school. And so these are the things, in a bid to be in a hurry to come and defend something you shouldn't be defending, all manner of things, even to allow a statement in was quite very difficult. Right. And for me, I think at this stage, Senator Adams Oshomole should not turn himself, should stop the clean-up job and just focus, on governance.
Well, we've got about 30 seconds left, sadly. But let's just turn very briefly to the politics of 2027. How do you see it unfolding? And where do you stand? Are you still a Peter Obi sort of
Absolutely.
supporter?
Absolutely. I'm a Peter Obi supporter. Look, if there's going to be one person remaining in Nigeria who is going to be Peter Obi supporter, Aisha Yesufu will be that person by the grace of God. And so we go again 2027. And I love, so one of the things, earlier when you were speaking to the spokesperson of ADC, when they had said, the ADC is having this, so there are so many candidates and all of that, they said the coalition was not going to happen. The same APC that is so worried about what's happening in ADC, whether they have a lot of candidates or not, they had said the coalition was not going to happen. And the coalition has happened.
So if
Peter Obi keep going.
If Peter Obi goes back to the PDP, you'll follow him, you'll support him still there? You wouldn't have any issues with him returning to that party? So in 2023, you understand, is the PDP that is now looking for Mr. Peter Obi. Yeah. Mr. Peter Obi is in the coalition. He is in the coalition. In 2023, I think I did a tweet, and I said then that even if Mr. Peter Obi goes to PDP, that I would support him. I know there were a lot of people who had that issue. In 2021, I had called on, PDP to put the best person forward. And I mentioned Mr. Peter Obi's name. 2 names were Mr. Peter Obi and then Mr. Frank Weke Jr. That was in 2021. And I put a lot of series of what they needed to do to be able to, revamp their party and ensure that it's kitted
to give Nigeria good governance. But at the end of the day, I think Nigerians are ready, and it's possible. That's the word I will end with.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed. Great to see you again. Aisha Yesufu is a famous activist and campaigner. Great to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for this edition of Arise Primetime. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.